Welcome to my top 5 Windwalker Monk Transmogs. I will be listing the top 5 Windwalker Transmogs in my opinion, so if there are any sets that you don't like that I list, just keep in mind this is just my opinion. I'll be leaving Wowhead links to all of the sets and different items in the description in case you need them. Also, I'm only going to be listing fist weapons that match these mogs, seeing as their artifact and Legion is a fist weapon. We won't be able to use other weapon styles like swords and axes. And if you feel that some of the weapons or items that I list don't match the sets as good as some other weapons, helms, or belts, then feel free to list other items that you think might look better with the sets in the comments. So starting off this video, we have the Bloodfang Re-color set at number 5. All the pieces for this set drop from Karazhan, except for the belt, which I'll show you where to get in case you don't like the look of the monk belt. The gloves drop from Atumen, the boots drop from Moros, the Maiden of Virtue drops matching gloves in a slimmer model in case the other gloves don't drop for you from Atumen. Nightbane drops the chest, the Curator drops the shoulders, Netherspite drops the pants, and he also drops a helmet too in case you don't like the way the Shado-Pan helmet looks. And then the last piece drops from the chest event, which is another pair of shoulders in case the Curator is being a bitch and won't drop them. Now if you want the original belt for the set, head over to Girl's Lair, slay him, and he will drop the Grand Stitch Girdle. For me, I like to use the replica Shado-Pan helmet to give it a more monkey type feel and style. You can buy this helmet from Rushy the Fox and Talon Steeps after you've reached Exalted with the Shado-Pan. For the belt, I like to use the red belt of Gentle Persuasion, which you get automatically from doing the quest that you receive every 10 levels from the Peak of Serenity. For the weapons, I think the Fisted Deity are by far the best looking fist weapons for the set, and honestly, these weapons are so cool that you could just farm them and use it for every single other set if you wanted. These bad boys drop from Murabi and Gundrak, which is located in Zoldrak. Sadly, they only drop on Heroic, so you can only run it once per day. However, if you have any other alts that can run this dungeon and can also equip fist weapons, you can run this multiple times a day. In Legion, Transmog is now account-wide, so when you get a sick weapon on your warrior that you're never going to use because it's a fist weapon, you can still collect that appearance and use it on your monk. Now, not all races have this little gap in between the gloves and chest like you can see here on my human male, but if you do have a gap and it's bothering you, you can buy the Ebon Filigree Dublé, I don't know how to say it, from Karandana and Dalaran. For the tabard, I like to use the Consortium tabard, which you get from reaching Exalted with the Consortium. Now this can be a boring rep grind, but if you're willing to spend a few hours grinding rep for this tabard, I'll put a guide up here on the screen and in the description that you can follow to reach Exalted as fast as possible. At number 4 we have what I like to call the Blind Monk Transmog. The helmet is of course the Cursed Vision of Sargeras, which I'm sure most people have. Now, in Legion of Death decided to be generous to us and allow us to hide our shoulders, so that's what I've done here. The chest is the Indomitable Vest, which is a world drop, so you're going to have to search your auction house for this. Now, if your server doesn't have this chest or someone's charging a ridiculous price for it, you can also search for Serpent Skin Armor, which has the exact same model and is also buy not equip. The gloves come from a small questline in Mount Hyjal, and I'll leave a Wowhead link to it in the description in case you haven't done it yet. Belt drops from a quest that takes place in Shado-Pan Monastery, which I'll also leave in the description. For the pants, I went with Blazewing's Furious Kilt, which drops from the rare Mount Hyjal named Blazewing. This item is also buy not equipped, so you can check your auction house before going out to Mount Hyjal and trying to farm this rare. And if you don't feel like farming this rare and it's not on your auction house, there's a quest that you can do in Deep Foam that will give you the same model of pants. And I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. And finally, for the boots, I went with Grifta's Authentic Troll Shoes. If I remember correctly, these were sold from a vendor in Mop. However, there's a secret little vendor right by the harbor outside of Orgrimmar that sells them. I believe she's only there for the duration of the Legion invasions, which are ending in about a week, so I would get over there and buy them quickly. And of course, they're Horde only. And if you're watching this and the vendor is removed, don't worry, there's another pair of boots that will sort of hide your feet like these. So head over to Zul'Farrak and Teneris and look for the rare name Zerillus. He has a chance to drop the Sandstalker ankle guards, which are the next best thing to having the appearance of no boots. If he isn't there, just go out and reset the dungeon, then re-enter until he spawns. He has a pretty high spawn rate, and I was able to get these within about 5 runs. Now for set number 3, we have the Ulduar set. All of these items drop from Ulduar 25 man except for the helmet. If you've ever seen what the original helmet that goes with the set looks like, you would know that it is the ugliest fucking thing Blizzard has ever created. So I like to use the Helmet of Assassination because it matches the set very nicely, and it also makes you look like Smoke from Mortal Kombat, which is badass as fuck. The Helmet of Assassination drops from Harbinger, Skyrus, and the Arcatraz. It does drop on normal, so you can run this dungeon multiple times per day if you're unlucky and doesn't drop for you on the first run. Now, the fortunate thing about this set is every slot has at least 2 items that have the same model. So if an item doesn't drop on one boss, don't get discouraged because there's still another chance that they could drop from another. Shoulders drop from Steelbreaker and Kolagarn, the chest drops from Thorm and Hodir, and luckily the gloves, belt, and legs can be bought from a vendor in Dalaran named Hexol Garrett, all for about 400 gold. However, I'd still recommend doing the entire raid first to get the chance of having some of the pieces drop, which will save you a little bit of gold. And lastly, the boots drop from Ignis the Furnace Master and Steelbreaker. Now for the tabard, I'm using the green trophy tabard of Illidari, which you get from an elite that patrols in Shadowmoon Valley in the Outlands. He's usually always up, and he's pretty easy to find since he patrols around on his mount, and he's pretty big compared to the other NPCs surrounding him. I'll leave a link to his wowhead in the description in case you have trouble finding him. And lastly, the weapons. There's a few weapons that I would recommend for this set. The first one is the Jagged Ice Fist, which comes from a quest in Barrene Tundra, and I'll leave a link to that quest in the description. The second one is the Sun Claw, which drops from Sun Claw in Gorgron. I'm sure 99% of you have killed this guy, but in case you don't have his weapon for whatever reason, he's located near the bottom of Gorgron in Draenor. Also, if you're wanting a cool enchant that matches the set really nicely, I'd go and farm the Mark of Shadowmoon illusion from Ner'zhul and Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. I'll leave a link to him in the description. For set number 2, I have to give credit to the guy for Saul with this mod, my boy Trill TKO. There's actually only one boss that you really need to farm for this set, and his name is Jindo the Godbreaker, and he's located in Zul'Gurub in the northern Stranglehold Vale. First off, before you do anything, the only shoulders that match this set are a BOE World Drop, meaning you can buy them from your auction house. They're called the Blood Tusk shoulder pads, and I managed to get mine for about 2,000 gold, so they might be a little bit pricey, but I think it's well worth it. Now head over to Zul'Gurub and kill Jindo the Godbreaker. He has a chance to drop the chest for the set. Now luckily the gloves can be obtained from a quest that you can pick up in Zul'Aman, which is located over in the Ghostlands. The quest giver's name is Witch Doctor Tawanzi, who's chilling with the other NPCs inside the instance that hang out behind the big gate type thing that you open in the beginning of the dungeon. Now for the boots, I think the Prideful Gladiator's boots of Alacrity match this set way better than the original boots, which you can pick up for about 2 marks of honor from the Prideful Quartermaster Pandaria. Now if you're Horde, you're going to need to buy the Grievous version of these boots because their colors are swapped for each faction. So for Alliance, the Prideful ones are going to be red, but on Horde, the Prideful ones would be blue, and vice versa. For the legs, you're going to need to farm some rares out in Pandaria. I'll leave a wowhead link to what rares drop these pants, seeing as there are about 10 different rares that can drop these. And there's also a crafted version of these called the Contender's Leather Leggings, which is, it's worth searching your auction house for, but there's not really that high of a demand for it. I kind of doubt that it'll be on your auction house, but I would definitely search for it before you go out and start farming rares. And all of these rares actually do spawn in Jade Forest, so you don't have to fly around the entire continent. You can just fly around and stay in Jade Forest, and then when you don't see any more rares around, you can then swap to another realm and just keep doing your thing. As for the belt, compared to all the other pieces, this part is actually pretty easy to get. I went with the red belt of Gentle Persuasions. Now, you don't want the other red belt, you only want the Gentle Persuasions belt. The other belt has this weird brownish tint to it that I feel just doesn't match the set that well, while the other belt, the Gentle Persuasions belt, has a more blood red tone instead of this kind of weird brown tint that the other one has. And again, like with the other set, these monk style belts are all acquired automatically from doing the quests that you get from the Peak of Serenity every 10 levels, so you should have this. As for the tabard, the Consortium tabard is the best matching one with the set in my opinion. Now if you don't like the Consortium Rep one, or you want some other variations because you don't want to have to go and farm the Consortium Rep, I would recommend using the Shado-Pan tabard in case you're exalted with the Shado-Pan, or you can use the tabard of Brute Force that you get from 300 arena wins. And for my number 1 favorite monk set, I like to call this one the Nerdstep Classic. Now I have yet to see someone with this exact set that I put together, so I'm just going to go ahead and trademark it. If you ever see another monk out there with this exact set, just know that they got it from me. Now all the pieces for the set are going to be bought from the Malevolent Gladiator vendor in Pandaria, which is found in the same spot as the Grievous and Prideful vendors that I showed you just a couple minutes ago. For the belt, I decided to go with the brown belt of Humbling Gravity, which I believe matches this set perfectly. For the helmet, I'm using the Spirit Keeper's helm, which you can buy from the auction house. I bought mine for a pretty ridiculous price, I think somewhere around 10,000 gold, but it was well worth it for me, and I had like 200,000 gold at the time, so I was like, fuck it, I'll drop 10k on this helmet. But if you don't have that much gold, then I'd recommend going over to Throne of Thunder and killing Soon. He drops the Helm of the Crackling Protector, and he drops it on all difficulties. As you go up in the difficulties, it has a higher percent chance to drop. So if you do it on 10 man, it has a 35% chance to drop, but if you do it on 25 man heroic, it has a 60% chance to drop. And I have absolutely no idea if this raid is actually soloable as of Warlords of Draenor, but it might be soloable in Legion once everybody's geared up. And now for the tabard, I went with the Claxi tabard. So this is also kind of like a rep grind like with the Consortium. But the fastest way that I found to get Exalted with the Claxi, and you can also do this with other factions like the Shado-Pan and the Golden Lotus, is by farming the Zandalari Warbringers and the War Scouts. I'll leave a Wowhead link to both of them so you can look up where their spawn locations are, and you can also do the Claxi daily quests if none of the rares are up. I'll also leave Bellular's guide to reaching Exalted with the mob factions, as this video really helped me out, and I don't want this video to be too long. And lastly, for the weapons, I didn't really find many fist weapons that match this set as much as I would like. Luckily though, our Artifact in Legion does match this set very, very well. In particular, there's a couple of other models and color variations that I feel do match this set really, really good, so I'll probably be going after those once Legion launches.